Hello everyone, welcome back to Practice Like a Pro. So today we're going to learn how to practice with a metronome on beats 2 and 4. Now this is a really cool exercise that I got off Tomo Fujita, the great YouTube guitar teacher. It's somebody who I watch on a regular basis and I see him practicing like this with a metronome, but I want to kind of make what he's doing a little bit more accessible because I think it's a really clever way of practicing and very, I think it's worth everybody's time. So what does he do? Well, basically, he's getting the metronome. You see, I've got an old-fashioned metronome here for the lesson today. So what he does is he has the metronome clicking on beats 2 and 4 of the bar. So what that means is, say we're going to play a G chord, and we're just going to do downstrokes for most of this lesson, right? And let's say we're playing crotchet beats, so 4 beats in a bar. So each bar, we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. Now our aim is to get the metronome clicking at such a pace where we can count that as beat 2 and beat 4. Now, whatever speed, let's say I'm going to set the metronome to 50, I think it's on 52 BPM. Well, it's not 52 BPM technically, we're at 104 BPM because it's only counting every second and fourth beat of the bar. I hope that makes sense. If you wanted to practice first at 104 BPM to get a taste of the tempo and then knock it back, that's completely up to you. Now, this sounds like you're sort of going around the houses a little bit, but I'll tell you why it's important before we go any further. Timing is one thing. The students that come to see me in the studio with my one-to-one face-to-face teaching, timing is always an issue, and I think it's because we've forgotten how to practice timing, and this is myself included as a guitarist for nearly 20 years. I think timing is so important, and a lot of people focus on the chords and focus on the shapes and the tabs and things, which are all important, but if you can't play it in time, you can never play with anybody else. So let me demonstrate just with a G chord, and then we'll have a look at some sort of, I've pulled some chord progressions from songs that everybody will know for you to practice this with. So remember, as the pendulum's going for the metronome, I'm just going to strum a G chord, I'm not going to change, and I'm going to try and get it in a way that on beat 1 the metronome's not clicking and I strum. On beat 2, both I and the metronome strum. Beat 3 it's just me, and then beat 4 it's the metronome. And you'll see it has this kind of like cool little groove about it. So I'll count out loud how I'm sort of getting in time with the metronome. So 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. Whoa, you can play to a click, but actually try and do that now. Pause the video and try and do that. It is quite difficult actually, and you'll see my concentration face. I trying not to go out of time. It'll be really interesting watching this back if I am on the button, because timing is something that I struggle with as a musician in general, and I have to practice this kind of stuff. Right, so let's go to my next slide then. So this is the chorus for Brown Eyed Girl. So you've got sha la 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 di da, and we're just going to use those chords and 4 strums of each. Okay, we'll do exactly the same. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. So did you hear how I went out ever so slightly? And this is what's important about this. You need to recognise when you're out of time and either correct it in the moment or stop and start again. I started thinking about what's for lunch and I lost where I was. It's practicing at a slow tempo is actually really difficult. If I put this to sort of 60 or 70 BPM, it'd be a lot easier. So maybe start there. So before I move on to the next chord progression, which is a little bit more appropriate and a little bit more in Tomo's wheelhouse, right? Another great way to practice this is, obviously downstrokes are really boring. If you can do the sort of buskers strumming, I did a video on called Best Strumming Pattern, which pretty much works over everything. The down, down, up, down, up strumming pattern. That sounds a lot more harmonious with an exercise like this, but it's not as accessible. If you can play that strumming pattern, it will sound a little bit more tuneful. Let me show you what I mean. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So notice that was a little bit of a warts and all thing. You know, did you hear me go out of time just ever so slightly, and I sort of had to bring it back in? Everybody you watch on YouTube is going to pick the best cuts and the best, you know, everything's going to be polished. This new setup that I've got, it's all live, and we all make mistakes. It's just some people show you and some people don't, okay? So how do you make it sound like Tomo and what Tomo's doing? Well, he's sort of coming from this jazz sort of perspective, which is cool, and I practice as well. Not that slide, that slide. Right, so this is like the first 8 bars of Fly Me to the Moon. Now I've taken the extensions out, so you haven't got A minor 7, D minor 7, C major 7, etc. And I'm probably going to play an F major 7, what's listed as bar 9, even though it's not bar 9, it's just the sheet that I made it in. So you can strum this like regular chords, like we've just done, or you can do a bit more of a jazzy approach. Let me strum it first. 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right, we'll start that again. 2, 3, 4. Took me a couple of bars to get going, but can you hear? When it starts to swing, it sounds really cool, but it just takes a little bit of time to sort of get out of Brown Eyed Girl territory and get into Fly Me to the Moon. Now, something that is a little bit more straightforward is when you're doing a technique called La Pompe, which comes from Gypsy Jazz, and I'll play all of those chords as bar chords now, but after I've played it, I'll mute the entire chord by lifting. Let me come a little bit closer. So I'm going to play A minor there, but after I've played the chord, can you see me relieving the pressure? And this is, you hear this in this sort of jazz comping. Let me try that style of playing with that chord progression, and you'll hear it starts to swing. 1, 2, 3, 4. So, a bit warts and all, it's not normally as polished as the other things, but this is currently what I'm working on in my practice, and I thought it'd be a great thing for you guys to try as well. It makes you very vulnerable practicing timing, and some people don't like it because it shows all the flaws in the playing. Like, you know, I've obviously got work to do as well, and that's okay. You know, it's a never-ending pit, is guitar. The further you go down it, the more you realise it's a lot deeper than you thought it was. So if you enjoyed today's lesson, please let us know in the comments down below what you'd like to learn next. I hope you enjoyed this lesson this week, and keep practicing like a pro. I'll see you next week. Cheers.